Hey everybody, how's it going? Last week I cut a video out talking about Glock and the issues they've had in the past. And granted, it's been a while back. It was in the 90s and we're in 2025 now. We didn't have social media back then, so I just figured it was fair to say it. But nowadays we have social media, and the P320 is on the chopping block. It's on the chopping block for a lot of people. One of the reasons for doing this is I get asked this question a lot from friends, is we know you have these guns and everything else, and are they safe? In my opinion, I'm not going to be someone who says yes or no. I am just going to present you with what I have found and everything else. So last week I made the comment, 3 videos is what I have found that makes me say SIG screwed up. I'm up to 4. Took me some digging, but I finally found another one. Like I said previous, the officer getting out of the car, the gun should not have gone off. The officer sitting there writing a report, the gun going off, should not have happened. The officer trying to arrest somebody and in a wrestling match with a suspect trying to get him cuffed, the gun should not have gone off in the holster. This 4th video that has come out, or that I have found, was done, and the video was released, the news article or news report, I believe, was done in 2018. The other thing is, August 8th, 2017 is when SIG did the voluntary upgrade. In layman's term, it's a recall you probably should have got fucking done. So the 4th video involves actually 2 incidents of the P320 going off when it should not have. First, Marble Falls. We'll cover that one real quick. Hold on a second, throat's getting dry. I'm going to call BS on this one. I don't think SIG's at fault on it, and I will explain that here in a minute. Basically, when the gun was removed, the gun was not out of battery. Looked like it was still ready to rock and roll. After both safety devices, or the level 3, all 3 levels of retention had to be defeated to get the gun out of the holster. And you see that on body cam footage. There is no body cam footage of the gun actually going off. The other one was a school resources officer, and once his gun was removed, and the incident was actually caught on video. It's not a good video. You just see the officer digging through his car and the gun goes off. But when all 3 levels of retention had to be defeated to get his gun out, his gun was out of battery, and you saw a spent casing stuck inside the gun, and they showed it. You could see it pretty well in that video, when that body cam footage, when the gun was getting cleared and set off to the side so first aid could be rendered to that officer. So that video has 2 incidences. One I call BS on, and the other one I call SIG fucked up. Trying to find videos on this whole thing, the Achilles heel video pops up a lot. One, I disagree with the Achilles heel video saying SIG fucked up. It's a training school. I don't know who's being trained. It's an instruction of course of fire being given, all that good stuff. And going through there and watching that one, the camera is panning around and it is panning, it looks like, from left to right, and you don't even see the instructor until the gun goes off, and the gun is further to the right, almost all the way down to the end of the line. You don't see the gun go off. You don't see what the individual was doing. So I cannot say SIG fucked up on that one, because I will go into what one of the deputies in the counties around me told me about something that happened on one of their firing lines. So that's that. The deputy in our area was talking to me. He's about like me. He tries to go to the range once a week. At the most, he'll miss 2 weeks unless he's hurt or just has all sorts of stuff going on at certain times of the year. They had an ND on their line last year or the year before, and they carry It's not a Glock and it's not a SIG. I think it's a HK. I think he said that's what they carry. What they had happen was they shot a course of fire. They were reholstering while the instructor was starting to talk and everybody was doing a course of fire. Individual, who was a deputy, had his finger on the trigger and was sliding the gun into the holster, and the gun went off. I myself have seen a German soldier do that at a training event I attended back in 2018, personal security detail training, Guardian Angel stuff. I know at our incident, when it happened, maybe it's because we were in Afghanistan in the combat zone and all that stuff, but 2018, where we were at, it was pretty docile. Not a whole lot going on, but the line did not stay together when the gun went off. Everybody kind of scattered out and around and was looking for a gun and ready to draw their own guns. We had multinational groups in this training event that I was attending. It was a big kickoff for something the military was doing over there at that point in time. A lot of negotiations and crap going on. But that was my experience with an ND on a line. The Achilles heel, the line stayed solid. I mean, yeah, it's kind of a little wavy, but it stayed solid. Ours like made a half circle looking for a gun that went off and all that. So that's why, to me, that just looks staged. I can't do that. I don't agree with that 100%. Maybe the individual running the course is a Glock fanboy, and they just, or all them guys are Glock fanboys and decided just to stage it because whatever reason. It wouldn't be the first time, or worst case, they're not even Glock fanboys. They just wanted to make a video to get attention, which would be even shittier. What was that YouTube channel? Wyoming Gun Group. Wyoming Gun Group is the one who did the video where they're putting wood screws in here, and I also think they're the ones who were removing the back plate and using a drift to tap on the shear and all of that stuff. I'm just going to charge this real quick. Putting a wood screw in here, I disagree with that being a legit test because, well, what the hell? Light trigger. That's going to be one of the things I talk about here in a second. So, you know what? It's not a light trigger. I took this apart and put it back together without, now take a listen because it's going to be part of it. Hear that click? All I did was I hit the slide release. Now let's do the trigger. Take up, hit a wall. Now we're putting a wood screw in there and push it out so far it's going to go off. You're putting tension on the trigger bar. And all honestly, that little mishap right there, before I actuated the slide release, has never happened with this gun before on taking it apart and taking it down. Filming this video a minute ago, I screwed up and tried to put the gun together with the takedown lever in the lock position. So I may have fucked my gun up. Anyway, going back to Wyoming Gun Group, what they wound up doing is they did release another video talking about the shear. And let's see if I can get this to capture. So right here, that's the shear. Now when I rotate the takedown bar, you'll see it disappear. It's gone. I mean, angling the gun. On his M17, I'm having to, there you go. Now you can see it again. I'm having to angle that at almost 20 degrees for you to be able to see it. The way he did his, looking straight on, you could still see the shear sticking up above this part right here. Now, taking this takedown bar, rotating it back into place, it's not there. You have to hit the slide release for it to pop back up. Now, I'm gonna put my gun back together. I'm gonna put it all back together properly. One of the things he was doing, takedown bars rolled out this time, is he was taking his gun, sliding it together, holding it like this, and rotating the takedown bar into place. Now that gun is charged just like it would be a Glock. He said it's a Glock thing. I don't know. You just hear a little click. The shear on this one has not been released. And if I can find a pencil here in a second, which I'm not going to be able to, it's not going to work. And you also cannot get a magazine in the weapon right now either. Watch his video, it shows it. What has to happen, and it's on page 69 of the owner's manual. I don't remember who put that out, but they were talking with the guy at SIG. He goes, oh, I've had this same problem. You got to do this. So, slide it to the rear. You heard the click. There you go, gun's hot. I went ahead and messaged Wyoming Gun Group. I've got 2 M17s, just did the same thing you did. I don't have that issue. Send your gun in, you might want to get it looked at. There's probably a problem. So, there's that part. We covered the videos, we covered the Wyoming Gun Group. SIG, armor pops out in defense. They went through, and this guy was frustrated as hell making this video, because he's like, we're doing all these tests, but we're showing you where, and he explains why they're kind of like what I'm doing, they're illegitimate tests, and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, but he said possibly what is going on is stuff is getting in the holsters. So I was looking at my Safariland holster. Well, he specifically said light bearing holsters. I've got one light bearing holster here in a minute. We'll touch on that. But this is a Safariland holster, level 2 retention. Hood goes into place. Like I said, the hood goes over the slide. Looked like both officers in the Texas videos I was talking about were carrying Safariland holsters. That slide is not going to travel all the way to eject a spent casing. Like I said, the other officer, the resources officer, it showed it being jammed when the gun was pulled out. But basic push down, there goes that. And now we'll look inside. So Safariland does look a little wide right there. Sorry, didn't mean to flip you off. But come over to the sides and look at it. It's just right there. It gets really tight and tightens up. And besides this gap right here, the trigger's pretty well secure. Nothing's getting in there. And what little gap is there, if something was to get in there, I don't think it's going to go off because it's behind the trigger. So that's the Safariland holster. Throw my light on the gun here real quick and we'll look at the other holster. And it's not a Safariland though. Sorry. Throw this on. Tighten this up. Here we go. Tight enough for what we're doing. So this is a Cloud Good Wrench holster. It is used by law enforcement. It is a level 3 holster. We're not going to do a review on the holster, but for purposes, we're going to slide it in. Let's take a look at it. Dang it. Now this is a light bearing holster, and you do have a gap on both sides behind the trigger. The side of the trigger is well covered. With the size of gap that's in there, I don't see how something's going to fall in there and make a gun go off. If anything, it's going to fall in there, pull the holster out, or pull the gun out of the holster. If something were to slide down the holster and go in, I can see it angling behind the trigger. I can see it angling in front of the trigger. But when it's coming out, I don't see it. I don't see the trigger being depressed that way. Just just walking around, there's not going to be enough room inside the holster for something to get down in there. I need to clean my stuff up a little bit better. A little dirty from the last rain day. It was windy. So I don't see that being an issue. Gun going off in a holster. Legitly, SIG. I know y'all are looking. I mean, according to that armor guy, y'all are looking. But I don't see the key thing or debris falling in there happening. All right, let's go over some actual statistics that I've been able to pull up a little bit. I try to do a research try to do a little search into lawsuits against SIG to see how many are out there. Just doing a search, no matter how I worded it, it always comes up to over 100 or 100 or more. The only thing I did find is that what it would say is there's over 100 lawsuits against SIGs. 22 of those are class action. Class action lawsuits is multiple people on one complaint. Not a big fan of class action lawsuits. Are they needed for certain things? Yes. Something like this, that with everything being debated and everything that's going on, I think it really needs to go down to an individual basis. I did find so far, and I'm probably wrong on these numbers. Like I said, Google was not being my friend doing these searches. SIG has won and lost one lawsuit against an officer. BSO Gun Channel covered that one. There was another lawsuit that was brought up by another officer who was working undercover who sued SIG, saying that the gun went off. It came out during the court proceedings, basically going over the VSO has a pretty good deal of the yes or no type thing, but the officer was appendix and carrying a P320 outside of a holster and shot himself in the no-no spot. SIG was completely safe on that one. So there's that. So that's 2 lawsuits I know about. That's why I think they all should go on an individual basis. What did I do with my notebook? There it is. So doing a little more search, and these are estimated numbers. They're not factual, because one of the things I was looking at is how many P320s have been sold since 2014 to 2024. Since we're still in 2025, we'll just backdate to the previous year. Huge part talking about it was one of the second most popular, or one of the most popular handguns being sold at the time, before all this other stuff started kicking off and going good. Estimated sale 2.5 million. Like I said, I couldn't find an actual number on lawsuits. Another YouTuber put it out, and I'm watching his videos talking about it. Said he found the actual number of 350 lawsuits, which 22 of those class action lawsuits, I'm sure, are in that 350. So that kind of screws up our numbers too, because we don't know how many are on the class action lawsuit. But 350 of 2.5 million comes out to 0.00014 estimated failure rate. It's an estimated because class action lawsuits, and I don't know how true that 350 number is. But a 0.00014 failure rate, even at estimation, being estimated, pretty decent fail rate. I mean, unfortunately, it's a gun that's failing, but it's there. I mean, that's actually, as far as manufacturing standard goes, that's pretty decent. The airman that got shot, or the gun shot him, not going to comment much more on that one. That investigation is still going on. There has been arrest made for falsifying documents, messing with evidence, all that other stuff. There's another guy who kind of goes in and covers that whole thing. So, but the Air Force Global Strike Command pulled 7,970, found 191 to have abnormal wear issues. That comes out to 0.02%. Not a fail rate, abnormal wear issues. Now, what the Air Force did with that one is they stepped up. Instead of saying, like on wheeled vehicles, for the longest time, it was quarter, semi, annual, biannual for services. So quarter, there's 3 months. There's 3 months and a quarter. So every 3 months you did a quarter. Semi, 6 months, did another service. Annual, got in and did a really good service. Biannual, tear the whole vehicle down, go through everything, inspect everything, and put it back together. We've recently gone away from that, and to save money, we've gone to actual usage, which we will now cover usage on weapon systems in the military. I am not a grunt. I am a pogue. I am a mechanic. I am Hotel 8. And I'm supposed to have 3 other Hotel 8s inside my company. And my commanding officer, my lieutenant, or my XO, and the 2 platoon leaders we have inside our company, and us 3 Hotel 8s. All have to qualify on this handgun. Granted, I'm National Guard. I'm not full-time, active duty. But I've seen this happen even on active duty side as well. There'll be the same situation, a maintenance section, or I've even seen a couple of infantry sections I used to support be the same way. And the infantry section story is way worse than what I'm getting ready to tell you. So we have a commanding officer, XO, 2 platoon leaders, 3 Hotel 8s. We got 7 people. Got to do the yearly qual. One time. One gun. Service rate is set up for 1 individual per gun. So we just did, in one go, we did an estimated, what the military would predict, 7 years of wear on one gun. Active duty military, I was doing a training event with them. They had to do the same thing. They did have, and this was before this feller came out. This was back when the Model 92 was our proud boy to have. 160 personnel in that company, not counting us maintenance personnel there to support them as a detachment from an FSC. 15 handguns. Chain of command wanted everybody to qualify on the M9. 160 personnel lined up on 15 handguns and shot the shit out of them to do their qual. Service plans are set up for me and my gun. There you go. Abnormal wear came out to 0.02%. It's high. Soldiers beat the hell out of shit. I'm pretty sure Air Force ain't no different. Got a bunch of privates, young NCOs running around. They're rough, they're tough, they're beating the hell out of everything. Supply sergeants get lazy, even if they do have a full complement of handguns per section. When it comes qual time, they'll probably send a squad out with 1 or 2 handguns. Talking with a buddy of mine who is an armorer, he says this is a very common deal, and he is an ex-active duty armorer, and kind of repeats the same story. I talk about the 160 personnel in the infantry section. Happens more than you think because supply sergeants don't want to send all that stuff out. Plus, it's a scheduling issue outside of the supply section. Soldiers, active duty, they get up, they go do PT, they do work. They always have something to do, just like we do out here in the real world. And so platoon sergeants say, well, we're only taking X amount of handguns per fucking platoon because I'm going to detach 2 of my guys, you detach 2 of your guys, and they make a small weapons detachment. And so a weapons detachment is not sitting there cleaning 160 handguns. They're only cleaning 15 handguns while the rest of the platoon or company is out doing what they need to do to get their stuff done for the day. That's what I've seen happen. Abnormal wear and tear on a gun, that's one way it can happen real fast. So go ahead and wrap this up. Abnormal wear and tear that the Air Force found, we just caught it. Even the security forces from the Air Force, I'm going to say they're not much different than the Army. MPs, talked with some of them. They got things they got to do. They got to go out, they got to go do patrols, they got to go do this. After a gun's fired, you know how the military is, they want it clean, so they only send a couple of guys out to qual. And if they wind up sending the whole company out and they got other stuff, or a whole platoon out and they got to go do stuff, so you might only see 5 guns pop out for 40 to 60 personnel, and a few of those personnel are going to get left at the armor room cleaning weapons while everybody else goes about and either goes on duty doing the patrols or does all their admin stuff they got to get done. So wear and tear from the Air Force. That's kind of explains that one up. Wyoming Gun Group talking about his video with the M17, what he had going on. Legitly messaged him, said, might want to send it in and get it looked at. You got a problem because mine aren't doing that. The videos, like I said, the Achilles heel tactical video is what pops up the most. I disagree with that video. Like I said, a lot of the videos I come across the P320 discharge zone are just like the Achilles heel video. I didn't see the gun go off in the holster. I know CCTVs are prominent in some areas, but there is CCTV of 4 incident. Well, there's 4 videos caught of what I say SIG fucked up on legitly. The lawsuit deal. I mean, if the numbers are somewhat accurate, you're looking at a very, very low fail rate. So, is something going on with SIG? I don't know. Did the 2017 recall fix it? I mean, as far as I can tell, with the 2 I have here, yeah, it's been fixed. Am I going to tell you to go buy a SIG P320? No, I'm not. One, right off the bat, I don't like the design of the gun. I really freaking don't. As far as the internals and stuff like that go, I really don't think I have a problem with it. I'd really have to go do some more research to see if there's anything I can actually bash the internals on. Was there a shear problem back in the past? Maybe, but SIG did an upgrade on it. What I don't like about the 320 for the most part, Glock, Canik, Smith & Wesson, you name it. Every striker fired gun I see has some sort of safety in the trigger minus the P320. I don't like that. I think every gun should have some sort of safety on it. I know it's been brought up on this. The manual safety does not affect what's going up on here. It just affects this, which does work. But I think every gun should have some sort of safety on it. Not necessarily manual safety, but at least a trigger safety or a manual safety. So with that being said, no, I'm not going to tell you to go buy a SIG P320. I know the SIG P365, which my daughter purchased recently, is kind of the same way. I know the internals are a little different design and all that good stuff, but it is what it is. That's the gun she got. She could work, so that's what she went with. So we'll see how that one turns out. But do I think this gun is going to shoot me in the leg? After doing the research I'm doing, I really don't think so. It hasn't done it yet. I've done up, down, goes, tromping through the woods, ready up drills, all sorts of stuff with that handgun. I've done it, and I have not had an issue with it other than me not cleaning it. So, but outside it not having the civilian version, just not having a safety, no, I'm not going to tell you to go buy it. I'm probably going to tell you to go look at a Smith & Wesson, a Glock, something else along those lines. But that's where I'm at on it. I hope this helps. Like I said, we did a video kind of punching on SIG, not punching on SIG, but we did a video last week punching on Glock a little bit about some of the issues they had. And it kind of, to me, it kind of seems like they've been swept under the rug, except for the letter they just sent out, I think, to every state in the United States about advocating for gun control because they're getting sued over these Glock switch things, which they're not even selling. To me, take it to court, Glock. Grow a set of nuts, take it to court. You're not making the product, you're not selling the product, it's being bought off Chinese deals. Is the Glock readily and easy? Is it readily and easily done to make it full automatic? I'm gonna bet $100 if someone was to sit down with it, this would probably be a little easier to do. That's just me. So Glock, grow some nuts. Don't advocate for that stuff. And you don't do enough work in the United States to advocate for other states and their gun rights, or against their gun rights. Let's put it that way. I mean, where I'm at, you have no manufacturing, no nothing. You just sell your product here. Sorry, off track. That whole thing just kind of pissed me off when Glock did that. But anyway, that's where I'm at. I hope this helps. Like I said, we try to keep everything honest here, and we try to be functional. I know we did a little more in-depth stuff than we did on the Glock, but honestly, this is easier to find information on. Like I said, Glock's problem was a long time ago. I mean, 2020, we were still having reports of, I was still finding so-called reports of Glocks blowing up. I can't really blame Glock on that one because I don't know what gun's blown up. I don't know what iteration of the 22 or 23 came out, and if the guns ever went in for the voluntary upgrade, just like SIG issued for the P320. So that's where we're at. I hope y'all have a good one. I'm out of here. I think I'm going to go to the range and do some practicing with this piece of shit. Later.